Welcome, friends. Today we have back on the show Clay Clark. Clay is the founder and organizer of the Reawaken America Tour, and you can find more information about that on timetofreeamerica.com. That's timetofreeamerica.com. Clay is also the host of the Thrive Time Show podcast. And Clay, you're just doing amazing work on that show and with the tour and exposing this agenda of the deep state, these globalists, and you're bringing people together who, like you said, are at the tip of the spear in this digital and information war. We have something else which is looming on the horizon.
Oh, boy.
A really nefarious executive order signed by Joseph Biden on March 9th, 2022, which is due to come in effect on December 13, 2022. They kind of just slipped this in. Not many people are talking about it. You're not really hearing about it on the news. People do know about it, like you and others. So what could you tell us about this?
Well, and let me say this too, Mark. I want to make sure I want to make sure very intentional today to say this. For anybody out there that feels worn out, who feels fatigued, who feels maybe like, wow, I have been in this fight for a while. I started my first company called DJ Connection years ago. I was 16, 17 years old. And I grew up poor. And I had a goal to not be poor. And I remember I was 22. People were like, are you still marketing that company? And I said, oh, yeah. And then and I'm 23, I'm 24. We're doing 4,000 events a year. And people were saying to me, man, you're doing 4,000 events. I saw you on Bloomberg. I saw you in Forbes. Man, you're killing the game. How'd you do it? I hung on to an idea from the age of 15 to about 27. And I put in work and effort doing something that I knew would add value to my life. I have never been more passionate about doing anything than what we are doing right now.
Yeah, that's obvious.
So anybody who's listening right now, I don't want you to get fatigued. I don't want you to get distracted or discouraged. We are now reaching what I would call the precipice. Maybe you would call this the fourth quarter. Maybe you would call this showtime. Maybe you would call this the bases are loaded and you're up to bat and there's two balls and you got three balls and two strikes, and you're right there and the bases are loaded and this is it. This is prime time. And so before I get into some stuff that's going to freak you out, I want people to understand Joe Rogan just hopped on an interview with Aaron Rodgers. He interviewed Aaron Rodgers, the NFL great. And he just told a massive audience of largely independent, critical thinking listeners who a lot of them are left of center, a lot of them are independent. He told them to vote Republican.
No one who is alive today had ever experienced a true pandemic. And I'm hoping that now that this is over, people are going to, recognize that some serious errors were made and not repeat those. That's the best you can get out of it.
So what do you tell those people?
Vote Republican.
I mean, they've gone so far left. I mean, they've actually, this is satanic, what is happening. It's the mark of the beast. The prophecies are being fulfilled.
Correct. And so I just want people to understand before we dive into this, it's very important to, Joe Rogan just told his whole audience to vote Republican. Okay. Zuckerberg on the same Joe Rogan show just admitted that the FBI told Facebook to censor the Hunter Biden laptop.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
We have that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant.
We're just now seeing that the judge that came after President Donald J. Trump, it was the attorney who represented Epstein. So we're seeing all that. So just please know that the corruption is coming to the surface and many people are aware of it. And so please feel encouraged with that. Now, that being said, Executive Order 14067 is what I would call Mark of the Beast legislation. Executive Order 14067. Now, this interview, I will try to articulate what this means by playing a few sound clips, okay? But I want everyone to look up Executive Order 14067. So, folks, listen in loud and clear here. This is Executive Order 14067, signed by Joe Biden. It will go into effect on December 13th of 2022. Here we go.
Where were you on March 9th, 2022, when President Biden signed the death warrant on American freedom? On that day, in a hush ceremony at the White House, without the approval of Congress, the states, or the American people, Biden signed into law Executive Order 14067. Buried in his order are a few paragraphs titled Section 4. The language in Section 4 makes Order 14067 the most treacherous act by a sitting president in the history of our republic, because Section 4 sets the stage for legal government surveillance of all U.S. citizens, total control over your bank accounts and purchases, and the ability to silence all dissenting voices for good. On March 26, 2022, Fox News sounded the alarm.
All right. So this programmable digital currency goes into effect on December 13th of 2022, which means that moving forward, like just in the last 14 days, I tweeted out a link to a sermon that was preached and taught by Aaron Antis, who runs Oklahoma's largest home building company, at the church we started. Every Thursday, my building becomes a church. So in the background, you'll see people walking behind me. During the lockdowns, quarantines, curfews, we turned our building into a church because so many people were in search of a church. They couldn't find one that was open. Fantastic. Well, Aaron was just talking about the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation and how this technology was fulfilling it. This RNA modifying nanotechnology that goes under the skin, aka these shots, was fulfilling the technology prophesied in Daniel and Revelation. So Twitter, banned and or removed my account for 7 days. Twitter did. And I've been kicked off of YouTube entirely.
So have I.
Under this programmable currency, they could just turn off your money.
Yeah. If you make posts that they don't like, if you make videos they don't like, if you contribute to a politician that they don't agree with, this is total control, right? This is like a social credit system, a CCP social credit system that they want to work in.
To say it is the most nefarious and largest egregious power overreach, to say it is pushing us to a digital dictatorship would not be accurately stating the urgency of the moment. It's a total tyrannical digital dictatorship that Mao and Stalin and Hitler could have only dreamed of. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have another clip I'm going to play. And this comes from Yuval Noah Harari, who's the lead advisor for Klaus Schwab. And he was asked about how does this artificial intelligence technology being developed, and how does this all work? Tell us, how does the Great Reset vision work? And listen to what he said out loud.
Humans didn't understand human biology, the human brain, well enough to really understand what's happening there. So in the end, humans remained like black boxes that even somebody like Stalin or Mao or Hitler couldn't really figure out what's happening there. And now it's not just the breakthrough in computer science, but it's the same time the breakthrough in the biological sciences that are opening up this black box. They are enabling to, again, hack human beings, understand what's happening inside, and therefore open completely new ways of manipulation.
I think there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs on the medical front, particularly around synthetic mRNA. You can basically do anything with synthetic RNA, DNA. It's like a computer program. So I mean, I think with enough, with effort, that's not too crazy. You could probably stop aging, reverse it if you want. These are, you can basically do anything. You can turn someone into a freaking butterfly if you want with the right DNA sequence.
There's a joint report from the government of the UK and Germany about transhumanism. Mm-hmm. And as you know, this is one of the agendas of the World Economic Forum. That's not hidden. It's not a conspiracy, transhumanism. And they talk about the RNA vaccines as an entry point, kind of opening that space ethically and otherwise.
So again, we just heard these statements that are made here. Yuval Noah Harari is openly saying this technology, even somebody like Stalin or Mao or Hitler couldn't figure out how to do what they're doing now, and he brags about it. And then Elon Musk goes on to talk about how this mRNA technology would allow someone to turn someone into a freaking butterfly, quote unquote, if they wanted to, because this mRNA acts like a piece of code. Another example would be the inventor of the mRNA technology himself, Dr. Robert Malone, is saying that this technology inside the shots is the technology. Robert Malone, who invented the mRNA technology, is saying that his technology is being used to implement the Great Reset and the transhumanism agenda. He actually said that. Yeah, and they're genetically modifying humans, more or less, and even more. Well, not more, but there's other nefarious things that we're finding out about the shots, which are producing these clots, which aren't really blood clots, are they? We're finding that these are actually circuits that grow within the body.
No, they're not blood clots. And what I'm about to say is going to sound really crazy, but I trust you will look into it. Look into Interbody Nano Network administered through fax. No, they're not blood clots.
In January or February, an embalmer came forward. He was board certified. He's a great guy. He's also a licensed funeral director, very trained. And he said, Dr. Jane, I just got to come out and tell you, I've been finding these clots in people. When I try to embalm them, I can't get in. Embalming is pushing, the blood out and pushing new preservative fluid in. And he said, I had to clear the way, and I'm finding these white, stringy, clots that are fibrous, and I don't know what they are. I've never seen them before 2021, like mid 2021. And so, for several months, he started sending me pictures and videos, and other embalmers, to tell you the truth, have come forward to me, and they've shown me their pictures and their videos, but they don't want to come out and talk about it. They're not afraid for their jobs. They're afraid for their lives, they told me, because they know they're finding something very creepy.
So this is a nightmare, what is happening.
It is. Those are actually inside the shots. There's RNA modifying nanotechnology that has the ability to self-replicate. And maybe that sounds like a lot of words I just said there. Yeah, well. So it's RNA modifying nanotechnology that has the ability to control your thoughts. And so because, again, I want to make sure I'm very accurate on any show that I ever do. I always want to cite my sources. I have a video clip I want to play for you guys right now. This sound clip is going to, again, boggle the mind. I want everyone to listen to it. This sound clip is the Great Reset explained in their own words, and I'll tell you who's speaking here, okay? The first guy speaking is going to be Klaus Schwab. So listen to this. This is Klaus Schwab saying this out loud. Here we go.
We do not yet know the full extent and the systemic and structural changes which will happen. However, we do know that global energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected.
Okay, so we know that, and this is Klaus Schwab saying these words. Now, the next guy is Ray Kurzweil. Now, Ray Kurzweil is known as the head technologist of Google. Okay. And he's telling you out loud the transhumanism agenda, and it is horrifying. Here we go.
You talk about the idea of physical immortality, and you say that this is going to be possible by 2045.
I talk about 3 bridges to radical life extension. I've written a few health books. Bridge 1 is what you can do right now to stay healthy the old-fashioned way so that we can get to Bridge 2. A key idea of mine is that information technology progresses exponentially, and health and medicine is now an information technology, and that was enabled by the Genome Project. That's bridge 2. And that'll get us to bridge 3, where we'll have medical nanorobots, little robots that are computerized, that are the size of blood cells, that basically finish the job of the immune system.
Direct brain-computer interfaces, replacing organic hands with bionic hands, adding to the body a second immune system, which is not organic, but an inorganic immune system made up of millions of tiny nanorobots inside your body.
We can finish the job with these medical nanorobots. There are detailed designs, actually, how to go after every disease once we have these devices. That's a 2030 scenario. So that's the third bridge. Ultimately, we're going to merge with artificial intelligence. We can talk more about that. Well, we start with the idea of extending our mental capacity with AI. So we've already done that. You know, most people, if they leave their cell phone, they feel like they're incomplete. So they're not yet inside our bodies and brains. There are some people that have computers in their brains, like Parkinson's patients, but that'll be routine in the 2030s. Another application of these medical nanorobots will be to connect our neocortex, that's the outer layer of the brain, that's where we do our thinking, to the cloud. We'll connect our neocortex wirelessly to the cloud, just the way your cell phone does it. And so we will be a hybrid of biological thinking and non-biological thinking, which I believe has already started with these devices outside our body. And we'll become smarter. By 2045, we'll expand our intelligence a billion-fold. That's such a profound transformation that we borrow this metaphor from physics and call it a singular change in human history.
I mean, this is what they're actually trying to do. And I just think people really, really need to understand the agenda of the Great Reset. It is to put RNA modifying nanotechnology inside your body. Therefore, you can be tracked at all times. Therefore, your thoughts can be controlled. And therefore, you cannot buy or sell without putting this technology in your body. That's what the agenda is.
They want to control every aspect of everyone's life.
Totally. I mean, that's where we're coming to.
It's diabolical.
Yeah,
it really is. These people are fiends.
Exactly. So that's where we're headed right now. And so next update I wanted to share with you guys today is there's a lady named Eleanor Pauwels who I did not vote for. You did not vote for. In fact, this just in, nobody voted for her. She works with an organization. Okay, this is Eleanor Pauwels. She works for the Wilson Center. And I want people to listen to her explaining what she calls the Internet of Bodies. Now, if we don't get anything else out of today's show, please know that Executive Order 14067 is written to force the Internet of Bodies agenda. So that's the purpose of it, is to force you to put this technology in your body that you otherwise would not want to put in your body. So listen to her explaining to you, Eleanor Pauwels, the purpose of the Internet of Bodies. Listen to this.
So the Internet of Bodies, imagine the power of AI. What is artificial intelligence? It's a way to automate computation and cognition. So we can now automate learning, perceiving, doing computation. It's a pervasive general purpose technology that will be used in all of our industries, that will come into our professional networks, our private networks, our schools, our industries and our offices. What I wanted to epitomize with the Internet of Bodies is this notion that we will be under assessment, we will be under measure of computation in every aspect of our lives in the future. From what you eat, who you date, what you buy on the internet, how much energy you use, but also what are your vital signs? How well are you doing in terms of health? What kind of specific genetic quirks do you have? What's your genome telling about your health, about your mental health, about how well you are doing, how well you are aging, what kind of disease you are susceptible to?
It has a bit of an Orwellian twinge to it.
Well,
it's isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
She said it out loud, and she said it like it's a good thing. She believes it's a good thing. So
yeah.
It is way beyond dystopian, way beyond disturbing, and it's happening. And I feel like my role of doing the Reawaken America tour is to make sure every single person on the planet knows this information.
Yeah. So you said forced to put in the body. So I'm assuming that unless you allow this technology to be introduced into you, you're not going to be able to access the system. So you won't be able to do anything, basically.
My understanding right now is that with this technology, they can turn on and off your currency, your ability to buy or sell based upon this programmable currency. Okay. So let's just think about it. I have a longtime listener who listens to our show. I speak to him all the time. And a lot of our listeners will sometimes text. I meet a lot of listeners at the Reawaken America tour. I meet these folks. And this guy is a member of the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard. And he was told, if you want to take the shots, you can. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. So you don't have to, but if you don't want to, he says, "Oh, that's great." And they said, "You just need to bring a religious exemption." So he brings a religious exemption. He shows up with a religious exemption, and the Coast Guard leadership says, and I wasn't there, I'm hearing it from him directly. He said, They said, because you're not vaccinated, you do need to go ahead and practice or train or do your exercises, or you need to do that separate from everyone else, because you're putting them at risk. So when we're doing the training, the PT in the morning, the physical training stuff, we're going to have you do it by yourself, and you'll need to wear a mask while you do push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, because you're a risk. And we all eat lunch together. You're going to not eat lunch together. You're going to have to eat lunch separately because you're a risk. And because you are a risk, so they do all that. And he still wouldn't capitulate. Then they said, now, because you will not take the shot, you're now immediately going to be removed from your post. We will be removed, dishonorably discharged. And all that means, you're going to be, even though you've had 5 years of service and even though you're in a leadership position, you're going to be removed dishonorably if you don't take the shots. He says, I'm not going to take the shots. Then they say, okay, you're no longer a member of the military. You've now been dishonorably discharged. However, now it looks as though because you were dishonorably discharged and you were not compliant with some of the things we did. When you enrolled in the Coast Guard a long time ago, we said that if you enrolled in the Coast Guard, we would help to pay off your college, you get some type of college grant. And because you didn't fulfill everything, you probably need to look at paying that back. Yeah. And it's all via letters. Letters. He's not able to talk to somebody. And that's what's going on right now. And that's what they're going to do. They're just going to browbeat every single American that doesn't want to take this technology.
But that's like nothing in comparison to what will happen once they implement this executive order, because then they'll just cut your money off and you won't be able to buy anything. Just like in Revelation 13, 16, and 17. No man may buy or sell without this mark. And that's absolutely what this is. This is biblical, and the prophecies are being fulfilled.
You're 100% correct. And I want to share this real quick. These are probably the most scary clips I can play for you today, but they're factual. This is Yuval Noah Harari explaining his vision for the future. Listen to this.
Historian Yuval Harari has developed his vision of the future by studying the past. His Israeli roots are of crucial importance to the formation of his view of the future. He's now using all of that knowledge to give us his vision for the future.
With especially the rise of brain-computer interfaces and biometric sensors and so forth, it is very likely that within, say, 50 years, people will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net, because your own body parts, your own immune system perhaps depends on being constantly connected to the colony, to the network.
Very bad feeling about this.
Okay, now next little audio clip I have for you. So again, Yuval says they want to connect your immune system to the internet. Final clip I want to play. This is the most disturbing. And this is Yuval Noah Harari, top advisor for Klaus Schwab, stating this. Not some random guy. This is a top advisor for Klaus Schwab. Listen to what he says here.
I'm convinced that we will destroy, unfortunately, a lot of employment. Just think of self-guided cars. and all the drivers losing their jobs. Let's look at the bank employees and so on.
If you're left behind, you're facing something far worse, which is to be completely irrelevant. They won't even need you as a serf or as a slave. Direct brain-computer interfaces, replacing organic hands with bionic hands, adding to the body a second immune system, which is not organic, but an inorganic immune system made up of millions of tiny nanorobots inside your body, and will be able to leave behind the realm of organic compounds and create completely inorganic life forms. We are gaining the ability to start re-engineering not the world outside us, but the world inside us, inside the body and the brain. And by definition, you don't know where this is leading because you're still stuck with your brain. So if you can imagine what the future entities will do with the technology, they are not superior to you. They are just like you. And if we hack the brain, and if we understand how billions of neurons create subjective experiences of anger and love and pain and pleasure, then there should be no barrier for recreating these kinds of experiences based on silicon and not carbon, based on computers and not brains. The idea of just thinking about something and the lights go out or something appears on the computer screen, this is no longer science fiction. It's happening. A good two-way communication system, direct communication system between brains and computers, this is kind of the watershed moment. I mean, once you have a good two-way, nobody has any idea what happens after that. It's kind of like the screen comes down and a completely different show begins.
This is what they're talking about out loud without apology at all. So if you haven't read, ladies and gentlemen, the book of Daniel recently, I would highly recommend you read the book of Daniel. Daniel chapter 2, verse 43 reads, "And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. They shall not cleave, but they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay." That's talking about transhumanism, mixing humanity with machine. Also, if you haven't read Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 18, as you referenced earlier, we need to probably freshen up on that. So I encourage everyone to read Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18. And you can't deny it now. You can't deny it. It couldn't be anything else. And it says, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is the wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 366. So if you look right now, Congress is working on legislation called HR 666, and they're working on legislation called HR 6666. CERN, who's trying to isolate the God particle and recreate the Big Bang, their logo is 666. The World Economic Forum, their logo is 666. CERN invented the World Wide Web, and they called it WWW, which in Hebrew, the W is a 6. So WWW is 666. CERN is located 6.66 miles away from the World Economic Forum. The Google Chrome logo is 666. Bill Gates has a cryptocurrency system set up for it. It's a cryptocurrency system that goes inside the human body, to quote it accurately so that everybody can look it up here today. It's a cryptocurrency system using body activity. You can all look it up, folks. And the publication number for this is W02020060606. So they are implementing a Luciferian total attempt for total control over where you go, over what you buy, and what you think. This is the plot. This is the plan. I encourage everybody out there. The reason why we're doing these Reawaken America Tour events, we've got one coming up here at the Idaho-Washington border in September. I'll pull the details real quick. It's Idaho and Washington. It's the Washington-Idaho border. It takes place on September 16th and 17th. You can get your tickets there, and we're going to have General Flynn, Eric Trump, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Jim Brewer, Mike Lindell, Dr. Richard Bartlett, Andy Wakefeld. We have Alfie Oakes in the house. We've got Simone Gold has been at the event. She'll be there in October at our next event in October. You've got Pastor Greg Locke, Dr. Stella Emanuel, Amanda Grace, the prophet, Amanda Grace, Julie Green, the prophet there. You're going to have a Sean Foyt. I mean, the lineup is epic, and you can go there and you can name your price. So everybody out there, you can pay whatever price you want to pay. All you have to do is go to time2freeamerica.com to claim those tickets, time2freeamerica.com to claim those tickets. Also, if you want to get a copy of The Great Reset versus The Great Reawakening for free, you want to download it for free tonight. You can download it for free at time2freeamerica.com, or you can actually download the book again for free. Or if you want to buy the book, you can buy the book today in the shopping cart at time2freeamerica.com. And finally, there is a documentary called The Great Reawakening versus The Great Reset featuring Mike Lindell, General Flynn, etc. You can watch that documentary for free tonight by going to time2freeamerica.com and clicking on the Shop Now button. And if you're looking for jobs that do not require this Mark of the Beast technology, just go to time2freeamerica.com and you can sign up for free to find jobs that do not require the COVID-19 shots. And if you're an employer willing to hire people and not require them to take the RNA modifying nanotechnology shots, you can register there for free as well at time2freeamerica.com. It's like a non-deep state LinkedIn, non-deep state Indeed. You can sign up right there for free at time2freeamerica.com.
Okay, Clay, just amazing work. My hat's off to you, and I really appreciate it. And thanks for coming back on the show again. This is extremely valuable information for everyone.
Well, thank you for carving out time, and I encourage everyone today, look up Executive Order 14067. Look it up. If you go to rumble.com and you type in Executive Order 14067, you'll find a lot of meat right there. Executive Order 14067. And then look up Internet of Bodies. Go to rumble.com and search for Internet of Bodies, because Executive Order 14067 would force the Internet of Bodies technology to happen. That's what would force it into the body. So folks, do your research tonight. Again, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate you.
Okay, Clay. Thanks a lot.
Take care, Mark. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.